So I will do, it's a little bit, a lot of dates, a lot of people, but I will do it as easy as possible and motivate, because it's a concert talk, so I will try to do the best and the most enjoyable for you. So, let's go. It is a fact, ladies and gentlemen, that the Ballets Russes have fallen in court with such fortune that astounded art critics, putting them on the horns of the moon. If they deserve praise, and so profusely, it is required to be believed with no doubt that the beautiful tradition of Nijinsky's hometown are loved in Spain. I do not know, nor do I care, and I am serious, if the dances that interviewed the Lopokova are like those which Pastor Imperio dances, or if they are just pure flattery. People say that those dances enclose a mystery so sweet and so soft that enchants all of us, but I believe instead that there is trickery to scrunch of us. The Russian ballet can be a charm, and even their dances could be a wonder, but it is a great danger that these dances are like so much in Madrid, Barcelona, Cartagena, and Sevilla, because it is said, and here I proclaim it, that in these times, from town to town, if we feel like Russians, it will be disastrous, because we are going to dance, we will be up our ears. Well, this is a clipping started from the newspaper ABC on 1917, and it's very key names and very key information about what we are going to know now. So, let's start with this introduction. Sorry. At the end of the 19th century, Spain was a country sunk into a political and cultural crisis because of the loss of these last colonies, Cuba, Philippines, and Puerto Rico, due to the Spanish-American War. The musical scene was a reflection of this crisis. Overshadowed by Paris, Madrid only offered zarzuela shows. Zarzuela was the Spanish operetta and the Italian opera at the Teatro Real. On the other side, national dances were quite popular and successful in small theaters, besides traditional singers called canzonetistas, sharing the stage with theatrical plays and early silent film screenings. In the rest of Europe, artistic avant-gardes arose. Theaters in Berlin, Vienna, Brussels, Rome, and Paris monopolized premieres of modern works, and composers like Richard Strauss, Claude Debussy, or Gustav Mahler will give way to new sonorities and musical forms, leaving romanticism and nationalist mainstream behind. Some composers sought exotic sonorities and harmonies in other countries and cultures to inspire their new composition. Paris Universal Exhibition in 1889 and 1900 were the ideal scenario to take into account the exoticism in music, dances, and clothes, because not only innovative models of construction and machinery were exhibited, but decorative arts also. The Russian pavilion at the Universal Exhibition in 1900 was the one that woke up the most interest among the visitors. At the beginning of the 20th century, the Russian style started to be fashionable. Sergei Diaghilev was called to be one of the most influential artistic entrepreneurs at the beginning of the 20th century. In St. Petersburg, he studied law at the university and music at the conservatory. Since 1899, he was devoted to organizing painting exhibitions in art galleries and musical events. His aim was to show the best of Russian art in Paris. In 1906, he organized an exhibition of Russian portraits. In 1907, he presented 5 concerts of Russian music. And in 1908, he led the production of the opera Boris Godunov with Fyodor Shalyapin at the Paris Opera House. But upon the passing of his patron, the Greek Duke Vladimir Alexandrovich, the son of the Tsar Alexander II, the invitation to perform at the Paris Opera were interrupted. Diaghilev fulfilled his commitment by offering a combined season of opera and ballet at the Théâtre du Châtelet, at the French capital. And that's how his famous company called Ballets Russes was founded in 1908. The company gathered the best dancers of the Imperial Ballet, among whom were Anna Pavlova and Vaslav Nijinsky. They are joined by other names such as Tamara Karsavina, Sofia Fedorova, Vera Karali, Mikhail Fokin, and Mikhail Motkin. But Vaslav Nijinsky, a young dancer of Polish origin, was the one who should shortly become the shining male star of the company. His solid training at the Imperial Ballet School of St. Petersburg and his physical and artistic gift permitted him to be the most famous dancer in the early 20th century. Nijinsky was acclaimed in Paris dancing Le Pavillon d'Armide with Anna Pavlova, becoming the first dancer of the company of the Ballets Russes and touring through the main European capitals. Diaghilev began to adapt new words for exalt the brilliance of his protege and lover. Therefore, Diaghilev produced new ballets with oriental atmosphere and exotic character, such as Sherzade, Prince Igor, The Firebird, Sadko, or Tamar. But Diaghilev also produced other ballets of romantic atmosphere with suggestive titles such as Les Sylphides, Carnival, Giselle, or The Spectre of the Rose, making new orchestration of popular piano pieces by Chopin, Schumann, or Weber. Nijinsky, in The Spectre of the Rose, executed a tremendous and incredible leap as he left through the window of the set, giving the feeling that he was able to fly. He also produced inspiring mythological ballet like Narcisse, Daphnis et Chloe, or Le Faun. In Le Faun, Diaghilev allowed Nijinsky to compose more his increasingly risky choreographies. The Diaghilev Ballets Russes company was characterized above all by the modernity of their productions. For this, the Russian impresario had recruited the best Russian artists of that time, from excellent painters and set designers like Bax, Benoit, and Roerich, to the most qualified composers like Cherepinin, Diaghilev, and Glazunov. And musician also. Since 1910, the young composer Igor Stravinsky, a pupil of Rimsky-Korsakov, began to work closely in Diaghilev's new projects. The Russian entrepreneur commissioned new and original scores for exotic plots like The Fair Bird, Petrushka, and The Rite of Spring. The Rite of Spring caused a great scandal, as the film did, but this time for different reasons. The daring choreography prepared by Nijinsky and the primitive music composed by Stravinsky. Strange and grotesque movements of the dancers were combined with the modernity and extravagant sound of the score. Later, Nijinsky told in an interview in Madrid that the part of the ballet music was composed by him in close collaboration with Stravinsky. The failure had consequences. Loida, please could you play some this modern music? After the outrage in July 1913, the ballet company left Europe for its first tour of South America. Diaghilev decided not to escort the company due to his fear to traveling on boat. So Nijinsky would take advantage of the situation to flirt and marry one of the new dancers of the company, Romola de Pulski, as soon as he disembarked in Buenos Aires. When Diaghilev was informed about this, he sent him a telegram abruptly cancelling Nijinsky's contract with the company. Once the professional and sentimental relationship were broken with Diaghilev, Nijinsky tried to settle down on his own, creating a small ballet company and performing in London in June of 1914, but his success was hindered when he fell ill and had to cancel the season. Nijinsky and Romola traveled to Vienna to meet Richard Strauss to finalize the last musical details for a new ballet, The Legend of Joseph. Days later, they traveled to Budapest to introduce his newborn daughter, Kira, to his parents-in-law. However, the First World War has already broken out, and Nijinsky was considered an enemy because of his Russian nationality. His passport was withdrawn, and he was confined first to in-house arrest and later made it into a detention camp. After this introduction, that is important to have present, let's start with los Ballets Russos in Spain. Hasta ahora todo lo dicho es conocido, es muy conocido, pero es importante tenerlo en cuenta para lo que voy a contar a continuación. A partir de este momento voy a revelar algunas de las conclusiones más importantes y sorprendentes a las que he llegado después de 20 años de investigación sobre los ballets rusos de Diaghilev en España y sobre todo sobre la creación del sombrero de tres picos. So far everything I have said is well known, but it is very important to take it in account for the next I am going to say. From now on, I will reveal some of the surprising information elucidated by my 20 years research about the Diaghilev Ballets Russes in Spain and the creation and premiere of the ballet The Three-Cornered Hat here in London. If we take a look to this complicated scheme or timeline chart that will help us to locate the comings and goings of this ballet company between 1916 and 1919. So you can see there is in red some American tour, and in white the presence in Spain, including a tour through all the main capitals in Spain. That was a very important tour. Ballets Russes never did a tour town by town, and only did it twice. One in United States under the Nijinsky direction, and the other in Spain under Diaghilev direction. And in blue is are all the presence of the Ballets Russes in London, including the premiere of the Three-Cornered Hat at the end of July. So, once the Great War broke out, theatres of the whole Europe closed. So Spain had a double attraction for foreign artists and companies. Spain was neutral, and geographically, it was the natural way out from Europe to organize tours to America. In November 1915, Diaghilev asked King Alfonso XIII to mediate in the release of Nijinsky in order to enable him to perform at the charity season for the British Red Cross at the Paris Opera House. In gratitude, Diaghilev would take his prestigious ballet to Spain, although without Nijinsky for the time being. King Alfonso XIII had already seen Nijinsky dance, not in Paris, Berlin, or Monte Carlo, but in Madrid indeed. In June 1914, Nijinsky had been invited by the United States Embassy in Madrid to dance privately at the wedding of the American president's son, Kermit Roosevelt. The Spanish moral was among the guests, but it was kept from the media because Roosevelt, we remember, had participated in the Spanish defeat in Cuba. Nijinsky was paid $3,000 for that only performance. At last, on May 6, 1916, the Diaghilev Ballet Company left New York on the steamship Dante Alighieri, heading to Spain and arriving in Cadiz on May 18, and days later, on May 26, 1916, began what would be the first season of the Ballets Russes, as the Spaniards told the company. They performed Scheherazade, Cleopatra, Carnival, The Spectre of the Rose, The Sylphides, and Prince Igor. King Alfonso admitted to Diaghilev in several private hearings at the palace courtroom his wishes about the creation of the full Spanish ballet, including Spanish dancers, but of course with Nijinsky in the main role. At the moment, the king had to settle for the performance in San Sebastian of a little ballet entitled Las Meninas, and inspired by Velázquez. The young Massin made his debut. At that time in Spain, the only popular Spanish dances we had were for a soul dancer and held never outside the provincial theaters or variety shows. Dances like Pastorio Imperio, Nati la Bilbainita, or Amalia Molina were very popular and famous. Thanks to their first national and foreign tours, they began to captivate the audience with their artistic skills. To include a Spanish dancer in the classical corps de ballet would not be an easy task. And what about the composer? Who would be the chosen one? Spanish music, Falla decided to escape from the mediocrity of the artistic life of the capital of Spain, leaving for Paris in 1970, and taking advantage of the fact that he was going to accompany the Polish violinist Paweł Kochanski on the piano in San Sebastian. Settled in Paris, he shared a room with the also Andalusian composer Joaquin Turina and became friends with Maurice Ravel, Florence Smith, and Maurice Delage. However, 7 years later, in 1914, the World War advanced would force the Spaniards to leave France and return to Spain. By Ravel's recommendation, Diaghilev chose Falla as his most trusted man and composer in Spain, and reached an agreement with the Martinez Sierra Theatre Company to create a complete Spanish ballet. In October 1916, Diaghilev hired 2 Spanish dancers in Sevilla for the main roles of that Spanish ballet. The name was Luciano Rodriguez, alias Batato, and Ángela Murillo. Once Nijinsky had been released from his Hungarian detention, Diaghilev proceeded to divide the company in 2 groups. One group was sent on the second tour around the United States under the direction of Nijinsky, according to the demands of the American business Otto Kahn. And the second group stayed in Rome preparing the new releases. Among them was the ballet, The Governors, and The Miller's Wife. The premiere of The Governor and The Miller's Wife was scheduled for January 1907 in Rome, but the Spanish flamenco dancers, Luciano Rodriguez and Ángela Murillo, never arrived. They got the money but never arrived to the Italian capital for rehearsals. So the premiere could not be held. Diaghilev was very, very angry. And the Martinez Sierra Company, impatient to wait for Diaghilev to return to Spain. At that moment he was on tour for Naples and Sicily with Picasso, performed it without him in Madrid on April 7, 1917, but as a theatrical pantomime. not like a ballet. At that time, Diaghilev was focusing all his efforts on the first performance in Roma, his first collaboration with Pablo Picasso, Parade, premiered in Roma on April 12 and in Paris on May 17, 1917. Nijinsky finally arrived in Madrid in mid-April 1917, where he was also waiting for the return of Diaghilev from Rome and Paris. Thus, on June 2nd, 1917, the second season of the Ballets Russes began in Spain. At last, Nijinsky would dance his legendary faun before the King Alfonso XXX. Nijinsky achieved great success with the audience and critics in Madrid, having among his admirers the Duchess of Durkal, with whom he maintained a close friendship or a love affair. Nijinsky and Lopukova were proposed by Diaghilev as the new main characters for the Spanish ballet, the governor and the miller's wife. But deep disagreements between Diaghilev and Nijinsky arose again in Barcelona. What was the problem? In Madrid, Nijinsky was annoyed to share the stage with Diaghilev's new choreographer and lover, dancer Leonid Mazzini. The disparagement that Diaghilev did to Nijinsky and the rivalry generated between both of them pushed Nijinsky to try to abandon the company in Barcelona. But Nijinsky was forced to perform and to leave on July 2nd, 1917, with the company on a new tour of America, his last tour, and it would be in Barcelona the last time that Nijinsky danced with the Ballets Russes. In October 1917, once Nijinsky was left out of the project to dance the governor and the miller's wife, Falla, Picasso, and Diaghilev held a meeting in Madrid in Hotel Plaza to establish the new artistic approach to the creation of the Spanish ballet. For this, Diaghilev decided to hire Felix Garcia, a Spanish dancer, expert in national and traditional dances, at that time called bolero, or like was called here in England, volerist. Felix danced with the Ballets Russes for the first time in Lisbon, and then he participated in a tour through Spanish cities that the company did between March 26 and June 23, 1918. Diaghilev's Ballets Russes dances its most important repertoire through almost all the Spain's geography. Well, it disappeared all the cities they do. Yeah. He was prepared to show every single city, but it doesn't work. Wow. This is the beginning. Let's see what happens if I pass. Oof. Can you go directly after the map, please? It was a very nice presentation because you can see, if I remember the memory, was started in Salamanca, after in Madrid, then in Valladolid, then in San Sebastián, then in Bilbao, then in Zaragoza. After they went down to Valencia, then to Alicante, then to a little village at a very nice theater. It was in Alcoy, just in the coast of Alicante. Then go to Murcia, then go to the coastline in Cartagena. Then they went to directly to I think was Sevilla, and then they back to Granada. So, and then they went to Madrid for 3 or 4 days performance. No, it doesn't work. And finally, they stopped in Barcelona before came to London. That's the point. I will try to do it because it's supposed to be a PowerPoint. It's international. I see that some. No. Ah, yeah. Look, Salamanca, Valladolid, San Sebastián, Bilbao, Logroño, that's La Rioja, Zaragoza, Valencia, Alcoy, then to the coast, Alicante, Cartagena, Murcia, Córdoba, I miss Córdoba, then Sevilla, then Granada, but they didn't perform there, just only a beautiful picture that I will show you, and Madrid. And then the last one was Barcelona. The last performance in Spain was the 16th June. Well, this is the Ballets Russes in the picture in the Reales Alcázares in Sevilla in May 13, 1918. And then they back to Granada with these nice pictures shot by Rafael Garzón, very good photographer, Spanish photographer. And they display the set study, but with a natural set like La Alhambra Palace. So Felix Garcia, he was the only Spanish dancer with the Ballets Russes company for the first time in Lisbon, as I told you, And then he participated in this tour through Spanish cities that the company did between March 26 and June 23. But the Spanish tour, after the Spanish tour, the company went through its worst times there in Spain. It was the end of the World War, and the borders were closed. Blocked in Barcelona, they were not hired, and there was no way to leave the country. So Diaghilev decided to dissolve the company. But finally, in the last minute, the impresario got to sign a contract to perform in London. Once again, thanks to the diplomatic efforts of King Alfonso. Diaghilev received at the end of July 1918 the transit visas to cross France and head to England. From then, King Alfonso XIII would be known in the world of ballet as the godfather of the Ballets Russes. Felix Garcia, after renewing his contract with Diaghilev on the 1st of August 1918, traveled with the company to London. His work consists of rehearsing with the dancers of the company the new Spanish dances added to the score that Falla composed originally for the theatrical pantomime, and assisting Thomasin in the assembly of the choreography. Felix was going to dance the main role, the Miller, along with another dancer, Lolita Astolfi, a famous Spanish dancer, also hired by Diaghilev in Madrid. But at the last moment, she decided not to go to London. And now, are you ready to hear the most recent findings about this topic? ¿Preparados para escuchar las últimas novedades en la investigación? The Ballets Russes season at the Coliseum Theatre was very long, from September 1918 to February 1919. Sorry, from September 1918 to February 1919. And before it reached its end, Oswald Stoll offered Diaghilev the opportunity to continue performing in London, starting a new season at the Alhambra Theatre. It was then when Diaghilev first contemplated to, or finally release the Governor and the Miller's Wife. Can you go? I think it's number 50. Number 50. I will try. But this is so very thrilling final. I don't know what's is correct. We are at the end. Just 10 slides more. Oh my God. Oh my God. So, that's it. Diaghilev visited the Alhambra Theatre in advance, located in the central Leicester Square, right where Odeon cinemas are nowadays. and admired that beautiful building built in its entirety with Arabic style decoration that imitated the Alhambra Palace in Granada. That was when he thought about making an authentic Spanish season, premiering The Governor and the Miller's Wife, at last, Aranjuez Gardens, and La Boutique Fantasque and Parade. So, The Governor and the Miller's Wife and Aranjuez Gardens will be the new presentation for London, like La Boutique Fantasque and Parade. But new setbacks and delays prevented the score, the orchestral score, from being finished. Falla's father died a couple of months before, and his mother was deeply sick. Falla could not guarantee to have the orchestral parts ready on time, and neither the date of his arrival. They were depending on him, besides, to bring 30 castanets for the final dance. So, Diaghilev secretly decided to hire the labor of two composers, Maurice Ravel and Ottorino Respighi, to finish it. Why did Diaghilev choose these composers? Well, that's the front cover of the handwriting score kept in Harvard University that I, for the first time, discovered and analyzed and studied. Well, Maurice Ravel was an old collaborator of Diaghilev. He composed the first ballet, Daphnis et Chloe, and a personal friend of Falla. He was a great connoisseur of Spanish music and an expert orchestrator. At that moment, he was also preparing the music for the ballet Aranjuez Gardens, to be premiered at the Alhambra Theatre, and also it's getting ready L'Heure Espagnole for be premiered at the Covent Garden Theatre. And why Ottorino Respighi? Ottorino Respighi was a young collaborator of Diaghilev. He was a great connoisseur of Russian music and also an expert and gifted orchestrator. At that moment, he was preparing the orchestration of the Boutique Fantasque for the Alhambra Theatre also. That's pretty new. That's the first time I told this. If you take a look to a comparative, we will see, don't put music there. It is a pity because this is on the top, this is the scheme, the chart of the pantomime, the theatrical pantomime. So if you compare in the first look, we can see that the music had been condensed and a lot of important parts in the square had been deleted in this one. The best way to take a look, to notice this is to listen to the piano version of the full ballet music. We made that recording 2 years ago, and it is incredible, a new view of this composition. It's totally new. This is the first tableau. From the introduction, the Miller's, the Miller's wife dance, the grapes, famous grapes. Mostly of this music are written by Falla. That's the truth. And the only part they introduce at this one in the first part. At the end, if you like, we can play the music to know the start there. And this is the second part. The second part, if you know the story, second part, if you know the story, the end of the pantomime is when the millers write on the wall with the carbon said, also the Corregidor's wife is pretty. And that's the end. And the end is here, more or less. So all this music is added, and some kind of music here is used here. So this part, that is the jota final, it's incredible. It's in all the newspaper critics, they said that it was explosive, beautiful music, brilliance, very full of colors. It's incredible. But it's not only Spanish music. There is Russian music, because aesthetically, Diaghilev was a genius. He was to direct and do directions to make the most perfect. This is one of the most perfect composition ever made. It's perfect, totally perfect, because our first source of music, popular music, beautiful Spanish music, but then it's technically, like orchestration is simply perfect. Let's listen to music later, but let me finish with Felix Garcia, this beloved character of this story for me. Felix Garcia traveled with the company. Oh, I think I told that. This is not the same. Okay. From Barcelona to Paris, and then to London, and they participated in the full company rehearsals in Shaftesbury Avenue, and in all the performances in London in the theatre, Coliseum Theatre. Until the end in March 29, 1990. He earned a salary of 750 French francs, and they are registered, all these payments until the last. Picasso drew this pencil sketch, dancing with Nemchinova. Is one of the only. This is very sad, but this is the only picture we have of him. By the moment, I'm sure that Felix Garcia was arrested on May 8, 1990, after being treated at Charing Cross Hospital for injuries caused in both hands when he hit a glass door of the church St. Martin in the Fields, in Trafalgar Square. He was locked at the Charing Cross police office in the same building of the hospital and registered as Felix Hernández Garcia, musician and dancer. That's important. He was a musician. He was not a flamenco dancer. He was not a improvising artist. He was a very, very well trained dancer. of the Russian ballet. So it belongs to the Russian ballet. The police know that it was part of the, and most important thing is with signs of claustrophobia were observed in him. Felix remained for 6 days under detention in the cell of said police office, requiring the use of, that is not here I think, requiring the use of partial restraint. So, utilizaron una camisa de fuerza. So, that was, he was there until May 13th, when he was transferred to Longrove Mental Hospital in Epsom, in Surrey. Longrove Asylum, that was the name of the time. Well, the passage of the Diaghilev Ballets Russes through Spain claimed two victims, for me, in my opinion. Václav Nijinsky, who lived the rest of his life between several mental sanatoriums in Switzerland until his death here in London also in 1950. And Felix Garcia, who spent more than 20 years inmated in a mental hospital in Epsom, England, until he died in 1941, where he remains, where his remains rest in an old cemetery. The Three-Cornered Hat was premiered in extremis on the last day of the Ballets Russes season at the Alhambra Theatre. The resounding success of the ballet meant the definitive recognition of Leonid Massin as a dancer and choreographer. However, Falla could not attend the premiere, irony of life, since he received a telegram that same day informing his mother had passed away. And this is the second important information I'm going to share with you today. The composer Maurice Ravel felt concerned and sensitive by the consequences and important changes that Respighi himself had caused in Felix Garcia in the final part of the Spanish ballet. Between the months of September and December 1990, Ravel finished the orchestral work entitled La Valse in the town of La Paz, a scathing tribute to the musical aesthetic of the popular dance of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, a country that had caused him many tragic losses because of the Great War. Years later, during the summer months of 1928, Ravel finished in Cibourg, his hometown, the orchestral masterwork titled Bolero. Pay attention to this word, Bolero. A personal, a sincere, and in my opinion, a secret tribute to the Spanish dancer, profession known as bolero, bolerist, that played a fundamental role in the creation and premiere of the first Spanish ballet. After the London premiere of the Three-Cornered Hat, now the name is the Three-Cornered Hat, the composer Manuel de Falla suddenly moved his residence to Granada, where he established friendships with local artists and literary figures, especially with the young writer Federico García Lorca. But Falla was unable to compose any other major piece of music. He spent year after year trying to finish, without success, his oratory Atlantis, that he never finished. The Spanish Civil War and the assassination of his friend García Lorca forced him to an exile in Argentina. In my opinion, it was the second exile, where he would spend the rest of his life. That exile, and the other one, from Madrid to Granada, was more sentimental than political, because everybody knows the Falla was a conservative, was from the part of the dictatorship. After his death, Franco ordered to embalm his body and bring him to Spain to be buried in the Cadiz Cathedral. Franco also ordered that the portrait that his friend Zuloaga painted, famous painter in Spain, was reproduced in the popular 100 pesetas banknotes that everybody knows. And finally, my personal tribute to all the commemorative events I have been organizing for the centenary of the Ballets Russes in Spain and the premiere of the ballet, the Three-Cornered Hat in London. Last March 2018, the book The Three-Cornered Hat was launched, a music story based on the ballet for young readers and great music lovers, illustrated by the artist Gerardo Valero. It includes a CD with the first world recording of the complete ballet music on piano version. I took a book if you want to, at the end of the presentation, if you would like to take a look. It is available in 8 languages: Spanish, English, German, Italian, French, Russian, Danish, and Finnish. And next July 22nd, 2018, the book 30 Castells for London will be launched, and it is a novelized, I have written a novelized story of the Spanish dancer Felix Garcia. I tell all full information on this, and the Diaghilev Ballets Russes in Spain. It will be available in Spanish and in English also. The last is a cycle of concerts of Spanish music in homage to Felix Garcia has been held since March 2017. We have celebrated 10 concerts in Spain, and it is possible to start it in the next not this summer, the next summer in 2020 in Epsom, because they are refurbishing the recreation hall in Epsom, and probably we will do this concert in the memory of Felix Garcia.
In the asylum.
Sorry?
In the asylum where he died.
In the sun?
In Epsom.
In Epsom, yeah.
In the asylum where he died.
Yeah. In the asylum, yes.
And is there a program of the music you've selected for this?
All the program is on the website. If you type my name, probably you can, or on Facebook also we have some. The most important thing is that this music, dance and song is a very nice show of classical music. Of course, we perform every kind of Spanish music composed by Spanish composer and another Russian, French, or German composer. And this is all honoring, just to honor the memory of Felix Garcia and keep his memory alive, and of course commemorate the centenary of the ballet premiere.
And were you saying that he inspired Ravel to write the Bolero, Garcia?
Yes. I have studied a lot of papers, and I have 20 pages of every single clue I have found to do this. But the music of the bolero, you know that it is very simple. It's a simple melody, repeating like obsession.
Hypnotic rhythm.
Huh?
Hypnotic rhythm.
Yes, hypnotic rhythm. And you know that officially it was dedicated to Ida Rubinstein, and they made the ballet on it. but I'm pretty sure that the key word is fundamental too, because at the moment nobody knew that Felix Garcia was a bolero dancer.
Maybe Garcia was haunted by the mesmeric rhythm, and that's what made him mad.
It was afterwards.
Maybe that's what the bolero is.
But also Ravel's mother was Spanish.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Well, Ravel was an amazing composer, very clever. Not very good relation with Diaghilev. I think it was some kind of revenge. The last revenge because Daphne and Chloe was a failure. He suffered a lot because of that. Diaghilev don't deliver enough rehearsals, because at the same time he was rehearsing Le Fond, Le Midi d'Enfant. And Nijinsky was more interested in that music of the master, Claude Debussy. And Ravel was very young, he was the first ballet, very extended, a lot of music, and finally it was a failure, and they never, well, just a little bit later, they reposed they performed the game. But the most important thing is some kind of music paper. That's the key, and of course the handwriting of the music. So
Music paper, partitura.
yeah, the material. Some at that time, including today, well, we print it from line, but they have a seal, the paper, the kind of paper, they have a seal of the people who made the paper to compose. And that's a very important clue to find connection between. And Ravel, Ravel could write music, Spanish music very well. If you listen to Alborada del Gracioso, that was, it's Spanish 100%. And if you listen to the Rapsodia Española, he was very, very clever. And the most important thing, they were outstanding orchestrators. And Respighi was one of the best.
When you were showing that chart
Yep.
with Ravel, was he an orchestrator, not the composer, in that chart?
Let's see. Oh, this is, thank you for the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the orchestrator, not the composer. Or he was both.
This part, you want to know everything. This part is Russian music. Okay? They cut the jota. The jota lasts around 2 minutes only. So the jota, that are very interesting. We are going to listen to after this at the concert, because I had to rock to prepare the
Did
score.
you curate the concert?
Yeah.
Right.
In 45 minutes, we have the opportunity. This is a great thank you to Jesus for this opportunity to do this lecture before the concert, because we have the thing we have doing is in the pantomime. It was the jota here, but it was extracted for the ballet, and the jota, if you see jota, this is a repetition of the three times of the single melody of the jota, but between they put it Russian music. So the only composer who can write Russian music, not Stravinsky, it was Respighi. If you listen to a music that the name is La Pentola Magica. That is La Pentola Magica. Let's try it because this is orchestration, original music composed, not composed, orchestrated by Respighi. If you listen to the orchestra, it's Russian style 100%. If someone told you, oh, this is orchestrated by Stravinsky or you believe because it's perfect. Respighi was studied with Rizzi-Korsakov in St. Petersburg.
But the commission was for Ballets Russes.
The Pentola Magica was not a commission. Probably he tried to, because a lot of music they didn't finally they didn't use it, but it was the same. It was some pieces, piano pieces, like I think 10 or 12, and probably Diaghilev said, do the orchestration, and they made the orchestration, but probably they didn't use it. And at the same time, La Boutique Fantasque, there were like 12 or 13 pieces of Rossini, and they gave to Respighi and said, okay, do the orchestration, and they did it, the orchestration. If you listen to the La Boutique Fantasque and you listen to the piano version, wow! You said it's like black and white and full colors. It's totally
when
different.
you talk about these piano versions, who's done the arrangements for the piano versions?
The piano version of the
Well, you've talked twice about the piano versions and how wonderful they are. Who's done the arrangements for that? For the piano version. No, for the piano version.
The piano version. The piano version. The only place that you can check the piano version is in Tours. It is in the British Library, and the other one is in the Harvard University.
Yeah.
Houghton Library is the name, and that for the first time I find this. I ordered the first copy for the first time, and I said, "It's incredible. This is not Falla handwriting, first of all, and it was the only arrangement that it is full. All the ballet reduction for piano. That was the only one. The other in the British Library is the same, but in the very small, not so completed, in very small papers, and some parts like, this is a very important thing, like the Corregidor dance, the governor's dance, and the Molinero and the Miller's dance is not included. One of the reasons is because Miller's dance belongs to Félix Garcia. It was their own creation.
Or maybe the copy in the British Library is from the Colosseum or the Theatre.
No. In the British Library is included, but different handwriting.
Not in Harvard.
Yeah, different handwriting.
Not in Harvard. So maybe the American tour had a different.
No. The library made a purchase in an auction, and they bought, and it was this incredible, and I'm pretty sure that it was the first score partiture on which they start to the rehearsals. The rehearsal that disturbed Félix Garcia, because there is nothing to do with it was totally different to the other version. And then all the story that Massin gave him a metronome because they can follow the rhythm and all this. There is a lot of,
But you say disturbed him. It really did disturb him.
Who?
Garcia.
Garcia, no, never.
What would you say disturbed?
Disturbing because at the end it was a stretching time. From the end of March, April. In April was a very distressing because many changes. It was the premiere of the Three Cornered Hat was delayed in 3 times. from mid-April to, in many different, if you check all the newspapers, you said that, and they finally, in the last day of the season, that was. So, and they changed all the story. It's a very long story. In that book, you can take a look now. I try to tell all the story because it was a very stressing situation, because they want to premiere it finally as soon as possible, but I don't know if it's very difficult to explain it in a very short time. All the clues, all the documents I have based on to. But if you let's listen, Loida, please, a little bit. Just this is the first, because it's. Let's listen this. Doesn't matter. This one, the Miller's dance. From Falla, by Falla. This one, the Miller wife is with the two grapes, and the governess is trying to kiss her, and the same music, but the big difference of this is the second part. What is the jota? Can you check it? No. Let's see. No. In this part, this is the most important because the corregidor dance. Put in play please in this one. Yeah. Diaghilev was looking for this music in the British library here and in Madrid. So, do you know the name of pasticcio? They do this, and if you listen now, the version. not the same, but it's the same music. You know, Respighi was an expert in score and orchestrate ancient music. If you have listened to all the ancient dances, Ravel, Stravinsky, and Respighi did it the same. They orchestrated piano sonatas, and Falla had a selection of Scarlatti sonatas, but he never did it. He never scored. And this is the Joda. If you listen, we will start this. We are here. Could you put it in the middle of the track? This is Ravel, totally, that music. Because they use the same kind of music of Dukas, Paul Dukas. Do you remember the music of L'Apprenti Sorcier? So when the enchantment of the broom is the same. It's the same that this when the millers put on the Corregidor governor's clothing, and then the music is the same because they change it totally. And this storyline, this plot, is not well described, and in my book I did it because I take the ideas from the music. Can you play the Jota final? This is but in the middle, or just in the, I think in 4 minutes. All this music had been added. This sounds like the ballerina and the Tosca, the same. There's a lot of connections. A little bit advanced, more. This is the one. It sounds like a pianola, a popular pianola in Madrid. You can recognize that's still Jota. We are here. Change. This is not popular music. This is Hernández. Some critics in Paris said the Jota sounds like Russian. In 1990, they wrote that. Then again, the Jota rhythm. And then, because this is Avicii. and the castanet at the end is the same procedure that Petrushka. At the end, it is a drum. It's the same aesthetic. I think this kind of aesthetic is like cubism. If you say, is different point of views from the same, you know, the same picture, the same image, that the same that Picasso do it. Cut it in different point of views, and this is the aesthetic is the same. And I think Picasso get some influence on this. And could you play a little bit? Just I don't want to, but. This is the music. You know, this kind of trumpets, bit of drums, everything of this is the same procedure that the Stevie used in this orchestration. You remember the Light of the Spring? This sound? Because at the end, this is a the fool is the name. And you are touching other people. The corregidor is running, this, the sound. I think it's enough. Just to say a couple of words more. Falla, it was an enable. He had not studied of orchestration. It was impossible to make this orchestration. That's the truth. That's the reality. So that's impossible to do. This is a spectacular sound. So it's impossible to. And really, Diaghilev, the aim is to pay honor to the composers who made Spanish music. The French one, like Xavier, Ravel himself, and the Russian who made Spanish music, like Glinka, another Jota, remember, and Rinsky-Korsakov from Capricho Español. So that's the reason. It's a perfect music, it's a perfect ballet, it's beautiful, but what are we do? Probably you can perceive it now. How do you say, relocated some parts who was taken out from the original part to do this magnificent work and to put here. And probably, I don't know, because I am going to I am going to listen to for the first time this work that Roc had prepared, but put the Jota at the end, the dance of the miller. Because it's delayed. And we are lucky because Falla was very strong-headed to say, no, I have to publish my version. And we have both. We have compared. We can read. We can, and that's the. So for the first time, just only to say thank you for coming. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to told all of this, and this is the all the people who have helped me. Thank you very much.